Chapter 13. Where the Earth Grows Thin. Elara woke before the village stirred. The shadow wilds never truly brightened, yet there was a subtle shift in the air, a softening of the dim glow, like the world inhaling quietly before beginning again. She sat up slowly, the memory of Eryndra's words pressing against her thoughts. That brightness comes from somewhere. Beside her, Kaelen was already awake, seated near the doorway with the stillness of someone long accustomed to waiting. "You do not sleep much," she said. "Neither do you," he replied. Elara flexed her wrist, feeling the faint warmth of the tether. "I want to see the fading lands." Kaelen studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Then we will go." The walk took them beyond the gentle glow of the village, into terrain that felt increasingly hollow. At first, Elara noticed only small changes. The ground grew harder beneath her boots, plants more brittle. The faint luminescence that had suffused the forest dimmed until shadows seemed to cling more stubbornly to every surface. Then, the color began to drain. Where once there had been muted blues and silvers, now there were only shades of gray and dull brown. Trees stood like skeletal remains, their branches thin and lifeless. Elara slowed. The air felt wrong, not dangerous, empty. She knelt, pressing her palm against the soil. A faint tremor of sensation traveled through her, like touching something that once was alive, but now was barely holding on. Her breath caught. "It feels," she searched for words, "thin." Kaelen stood beside her, watching quietly. "You hear it." "What?" "The absence." Elara closed her eyes, letting her senses extend the way she did when shaping light gilding. Normally, she could feel energy everywhere, tiny currents of warmth, subtle pulses of life waiting to be woven. Here, there was only a faint echo. "What happened?" she whispered. Kaelen looked out across the barren stretch. "It has been happening for generations." She stood slowly. "But why here?" His gaze lifted slightly, toward the unseen sky above. Elara followed his eyes. "No," she said immediately. "It can't be connected." Kaelen did not answer. They walked farther until they reached a small cluster of huts built from weathered stone. A few villagers moved quietly among them, their expressions subdued. A child sat near the doorway of one hut, turning a dull stone over and over in their hands. When they noticed Kaelen, their face brightened faintly. "My king," the child said softly. Kaelen crouched, speaking gently. "How is your mother?" The child hesitated. "She is tired." Elara felt a tightness in her chest. A woman emerged from the hut, moving slowly as though each step required effort. Her skin was pale, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion. "Your Majesty," she said, bowing slightly. Kaelen inclined his head. "I wish to see how you fare." She smiled faintly, as well as one can. Elara stepped forward hesitantly. "May I?" The woman looked at her, curiosity flickering. "You are the one from the sky." Elara nodded. "I work with living structures. Sometimes I can sense what is wrong." After a moment, the woman extended her hand. Elara took it gently. Immediately she felt it, a subtle drain, like warmth slipping through unseen cracks. Not illness, not injury, loss. She released the woman's hand slowly, heart pounding. "It's as if," Elara swallowed, "something is pulling vitality away." The woman gave a wary smile. "We have grown used to it." Elara looked at Kaelen, shock clear in her eyes. "This isn't natural." "No," he said quietly. They left the settlement in silence. After some time, Elara spoke, voice unsteady. Back home, we're taught that light gilding draws from ambient radiance, cosmic currents, reflected luminance, nothing living. Kaelen's expression remained calm, but there was a depth of old sorrow in his eyes. And yet, he said gently, your city has floated for centuries. Elara stopped walking. What are you implying? He turned to face her fully. Only this, he said. Power is never without cost. The tether pulsed faintly between them. Elara felt something inside her resist, clinging to years of certainty. Our scholars would know. They would never allow harm. Kaelen's voice softened. Intent does not always prevent consequence. She looked back toward the gray lands stretching endlessly. Memories surfaced, how the light gilding had grown brighter over the years, how the city's architects celebrated each improvement without question. A whisper of doubt curled in her mind. What if, she began, then stopped. Kaelen waited patiently. What if we've been wrong? She finished quietly. The question hung between them, fragile and terrifying. Kaelen stepped closer, not invading, simply present. Then, he said softly, you will decide what to do with the truth. Elara looked at their joined wrists, the chain glowing faintly like a steady heartbeat. For the first time, the mission she had accepted without hesitation felt heavier. Not just a task, a choice. As they turned back toward the distant glow of the village, Elara carried with her a new awareness, one that settled deep in her bones. The sky might be bright, but brightness, she was beginning to understand, could cast very long shadows.